The Boston Red Sox just went up against the best offense in baseball, and they won. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. The Boston Red Sox just took 2 out of 3 games at home against the best offense in baseball, the Texas Rangers. And I think the best part about this series is that the Red Sox had really great moments on both sides of the ball. There were great pitching moments, there were great offense moments, and because of this series win combined with what they were able to do against the Toronto Blue Jays, they put themselves in a really interesting spot heading towards the MLB All-Star break. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break down this latest series, talk about the latest Red Sox highlights, some of the things that went wrong and how to fix those, and we're going to be talking about why this Red Sox series win was so important and what it means for the 2023 season. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are going to be live tonight right around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're not only going to be watching the Red Sox take on the Oakland Athletics, but we're going to be talking about all the latest Red Sox roster moves as well, sort of like a live video instead of putting one out later today. So if you guys are interested in watching a video be made live or hanging out and talking about the state of the Red Sox and watching tonight's game, this is the perfect opportunity to do that. Again, we are going to be live tonight, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Anyways, thank you guys very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. As always, let's start by talking about the offense first. I think if we're trying to figure out who was the MVP of this series, it's a bit difficult because the offense was so spread out, but I think ultimately Masataka Yoshida takes home that award. Masataka Yoshida was an on-base machine in this series. He ended up going 6 for 13, scoring a run in every single one of these games, and while the power wasn't there, he wasn't smacking the ball all over the field. He was consistently on base, and he was consistently a part of every single rally the Red Sox put together, which is exactly what you want from Masataka Yoshida, right? He was just a menace at the plate. He was a guy who the Texas Rangers had a really difficult time getting out, and for that reason, Masataka Yoshida, in my opinion, was the offensive MVP of this series. But like I said, it was a close call because you were getting great performances all around. Another guy who was really close to being the series MVP, in my opinion, was Connor Wong, because Wong in this series ended up going 6 for 9 at the plate, which is absolutely fantastic, right? We talked about it a couple of videos ago that if the Red Sox want to be sustainable at the plate, they're going to need production from the bottom half of their order, and to get production like a 6 for 9 series from Connor Wong in the 9 spot was exactly what this Red Sox team needed offensively to propel them over a great team like the Texas Rangers. On top of that, Justin Turner continues to have a great season, and he's putting together another really great series here where he went 6 for 12 with an RBI in every single game once again. He is putting together a really insane stretch of games here. He has been hot as hot. He has been the constant in this Red Sox lineup, and that's continuing regardless of whether or not the offense is doing well or the offense is doing poorly. Justin Turner has been the heart and soul of this lineup for a couple of months now, and that just seems to continue, which again was a huge help for the Boston Red Sox in taking down the Texas Rangers. Kike Hernandez only played in 1 game in this series, and in this game he went 1 for 4, but the reason he's on this highlight reel is because that one hit he did have was absolutely massive at the time. He ended up blooping a single into left field, but at the time it put the Red Sox ahead, and it sparked a huge rally in the last game of this series to propel this offense to beat the Texas Rangers. So I had to put Kike Hernandez's hit in this highlight reel, but overall, again, he didn't play much in this series. Outside of that, he really wasn't that big of a factor. Rafael Devers also had a bit of a quiet series in this one, but because of the fact that he went 2 for 4 in the last game of this series and was still able to give you 2 RBIs in the last game of this series, he, like Kike Hernandez, makes this highlight reel. He again was vital for the Red Sox in beating the Texas Rangers so heavily in the last game of this series. Adam Duvall went 1 for 4 in the last game of this series with a really clutch RBI double as well. Rob Refsnyder had an RBI, Christian Arroyo had an RBI, and what you were getting was production from all over the place, which is absolutely fantastic, right? Again, we talked about it when we talked about Connor Wong. We've talked about it over the last couple of videos that the Red Sox have been getting a lot of production from their 1 through 5 guys, but they've been really quiet in the bottom half of this order, and it's led to a lot of times where you're seeing rallies get killed, or you're seeing runners in scoring position just simply not being able to drive them in. If the Red Sox want a sustainable offense, and if the Red Sox want to continue to beat teams like the Texas Rangers, you're going to have to get that production from the bottom half of this order, and having big series from Connor Wong, having key hits from Kike Hernandez, having RBIs from Refsnyder and Arroyo is how you do that, right? It's how you beat good teams is you have the entirety of your lineup helping you produce at the highest level, and that's exactly what we saw, especially in the last game of this series. Overall, in terms of the offense, we've talked about it, right? This Red Sox team lives and dies by their offense, and so far this year, the offense has been extremely streaky. With the state of the rotation right now, it is vital that the Red Sox caught a hot streak, and that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly why we saw the Red Sox beat the best offense in baseball in the Texas Rangers. But overall, I think the offense was absolutely fantastic in this series, which is really great news. As for the pitching in this series, it was okay, right? You had your really good moments, you had your really bad moments. It sort of averaged itself out. In the first game of this series, you got your bullpen game, which went about as expected, in my opinion. Brandon Bernardino technically started this game. He went 1 1/3 inning, allowing just 1 run on 1 hit. That was a pretty decent outing. Caleb Ort went 2/3 of an inning after him. He allowed 2 runs on 3 hits. Then you had Chris Murphy eat the bulk of this game. He ended up going 3 2/3 innings, allowing just 1 earned on 5 hits. He looked really good. And I think outside of that, right, it's about as you'd expect from a bullpen game. The offense, especially the best offense in baseball in the Texas Rangers, we're probably going to score runs against guys who weren't normally used to coming in the second or even start games. So I don't hate what happened in this bullpen game, but I don't love the bullpen games in general. Hopefully that comes to an end soon. We've got Tanner Houck starting to make his way back. Chris Sale is throwing again, so hopefully we get some reinforcements relatively soon, but probably expecting a couple more bullpen games like this. Let's just hope the offense can stay hot and the Red Sox pitching can tread water until that happens. One of the highlights in this series, once again though, was Brayan Bello, who had another really awesome performance. It wasn't as dominant as we've seen in the past, but he still managed to get through 7 innings, allowing 2 earned runs on 8 hits and striking out 3. Against the best offense in baseball, that's a really great stat line, right? Brayan Bello continues to impress, he continues to improve, and he continues to cement himself as the ace of the Boston Red Sox. And like I say, pretty much every series he pitches in, he is by far and away the best part of this Red Sox team right now. Cutter Crawford finished this one off, and he was okay. He managed to go 4 innings, allowing 3 earned runs on 7 hits while striking out 3. It was a decent outing, nothing crazy bad, nothing crazy good, but okay. I would like to see him start a little bit better, right? Get further into games, but that's kind of limited on how stretched out he is and how well he's performing during the games. So in my opinion, this is kind of what you expect from Cutter Crawford, but either way, I would like to see him get a little bit of length, especially with the state of this rotation and with the state of this bullpen. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain about a fairly solid performance from a guy who, again, isn't fully stretched out to be a starter in this rotation. And speaking of the bullpen, they had their good moments, they had their really bad moments. I think guys like Justin Garza really struggled in this series. I wouldn't be surprised to see Justin Garza actually DFA'd at the beginning of this Oakland A's series with Joely Rodriguez coming back. Again, we're going to be talking about that tonight in the live stream at 7 p.m. on this channel. Outside of Justin Garza, we talked about Ort, we talked about Bernardino. Joe Jakes had a bit of a rough go in this series, but there were some highlights as well. Brandon Walter was really great in this series. Josh Winkowski may have single-handedly saved this entire series. He came into a situation where there was a runner on second and third and nobody out, and he managed to keep the Rangers from scoring. And after that, the Red Sox offense came to life. So Josh Winkowski really did save the Red Sox ass in this series. Chris Martin was fantastic once again. He continues to be the Red Sox most reliable and fantastic reliever. Kenley Jansen had a good outing in this series. So like I said, pitching wise, there were some goods, there were some bads. I think it averaged themselves out. I think the real star of the show overall had to be this Red Sox offense that just simply overpowered the Rangers bullpen and the Rangers pitching staff, right? They went up against some really good pitchers and were able to score some pretty decent amount of runs that gave themselves a great position to win. Now, in terms of what this means for the entire season, it puts the Red Sox in a really interesting place. The Red Sox right now are just 3 games out of a wild card spot, and they're going to be playing 6 games against the Oakland Athletics, 3 before the All-Star game, 3 after the All-Star game, which means there is a realistic possibility that at the end of these 6 games, the Red Sox are in a wild card position, which is pretty insane to say because just a couple of weeks ago, it really felt like the wheels were falling off on this Red Sox team, and they're not technically dead yet when it comes to the potential to be in a playoff position, which again is an absolutely crazy thing to say. in terms of my expectations of this Red Sox team, I think they remain about the same, right? I'm still just wanting competitive, fun baseball, and if that means they're in a position for a wild card spot, absolutely great, right? That just makes the whole thing even better. But I think overall, when we're talking about what to expect for the Red Sox going forward and what this series means, it doesn't change a whole lot, in my opinion, over the grand scheme of the season, right? Because we know how streaky this Red Sox offense is. Some days they're the best offense in baseball, some days they're the worst. If they can catch a hot streak at the right time, like right now, they could put themselves in a playoff position, and then hopefully you can maintain that position until you get guys like Trevor Story, who's going to start a rehab appearance after the All-Star break, John Schreiber, who's going to start rehabbing this weekend, Chris Sale, who's making headway on him coming back, Tanner Houck, who's getting back sooner rather than later, right? Yu Chang's coming back today. You're getting reinforcements from the IL. If you can maintain this position and get closer to a wild card spot, this team could do something in August and September. I'm not saying this Red Sox team's dead yet, and it feels like they're coming back in a big way, but again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that this is definitely a playoff team because of how they've been playing lately, because of what we've seen over the rest of the entire season. So at the end of the day, an absolutely fantastic series win for the Boston Red Sox, who bested one of the better teams in all of baseball, and it really does put themselves in a really interesting position, not only going into the MLB All-Star break, but also at the trade deadline as well. So let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this latest Red Sox series? What were your highlights? What were your lowlights? Are there any concerns? And what do you think about how this is going to affect the Red Sox going forward, both going into the MLB All-Star break and heading towards the MLB deadline? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox series in the comment section down below. Don't forget that we are going to be live on this channel tonight around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be talking about the latest Red Sox roster moves, what it means for each player, what it means for the team, and we're going to be watching the Red Sox take on the Oakland Athletics. So again, 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.